if you're listening to this, you know the cycle. We all do, right?
Hmm.
It starts with that spark, that late night idea where you finally decide, this is it.
Right. I'm going to change my life.
Exactly. Maybe you even start that new schedule, you write down the goals, and then here's the failure point. Instead of doing the work, you talk about it.
You share it.
You post the plan, you tell your friends, you're looking for that little hit of encouragement, and then what?
The momentum just stalls.
It stalls. The fear creeps back in. Procrastination gets comfortable again, and you're back to talking about success instead of, actually building it.
And that gap, that chasm between the big idea and the actual daily action, that's probably the biggest leak of human potential there is.
Yeah.
For so long, we've been, analyzing the symptoms, the laziness, the distraction, this constant need for validation from other people. We try to fix it with like a motivational video.
A temporary patch.
Yeah.
But the source material we've been deep in today,
Yeah.
it isn't interested in that. No gentle remedies, no temporary patches.
No.
This is more like a surgical strike.
Oh.
It goes right to the core of the problem. It's not fluffy. It is intense. It's serious. And honestly, it pulls no punches.
And that's what we're here to do. We're going to extract the hard truths, the discipline hacks. This is basically an ultimate guide to success.
Right.
And it's written for the person who is just sick of their own excuses and ready to take total non-negotiable control. We're going to analyze the fundamental, unglamorous, and sometimes brutal shifts that you need for real transformation.
And the core idea behind this whole philosophy, it might be the most powerful one of all. The biggest move you'll ever make is the one nobody even sees you preparing for.
That's it.
We have to understand why you need to focus in silence so you can win, undeniably, in public.
Yeah.
This is the wake-up call.
So let's just jump right in. The very first, most immediate rule this manual demands is just close your mouth and get serious about your life.
Okay.
The sources make this really compelling case, both psychologically and strategically, that talking about your goals is the easiest path. And because it's easy, it's the most damaging.
Let's unpack that because, talking feels productive. It feels like you're doing something. So why is it so dangerous?
Because it gives your brain that quick hit, that little bit of confidence, of pleasure.
The dopamine.
Exactly. It lights up the reward centers. So when you announce your big plan to even just one friend, you get that positive feedback. Oh, that's amazing.
Right.
And your brain registers that validation as a reward. It feels like you've already made progress.
Even though you haven't done a single thing.
You haven't laid a single brick. You haven't put in 1 hour of real work. It's what they call the paradox of the completion loop.
Okay.
Research shows that when you get that external pat on the back, it sort of prematurely satisfies the need for achievement.
So you're trading the future power of actual results for this tiny, immediate comfort of someone saying, good job.
That's it. Talking is cheap. Doing is expensive. It costs energy. It costs comfort. And the source is crystal clear on this. Every time you make that trade, action for comfort, you stay stuck, spinning your wheels. That is where real progress goes to die.
So it's basically a kind of self-sabotage that's just built into our modern, social lives. We're all a little addicted to looking like we're making moves instead of actually making them.
Mm-hmm.
But what about accountability? I know a lot of people will be thinking that I need to tell someone to hold me accountable. Is this manual saying you have to be totally isolated?
That is a critical question, and the manual is very sharp on this. It makes a huge distinction between an accountability partner and an audience for validation.
Okay, what's the difference?
Accountability is a private contract. It's usually one other person, and it's focused purely on metrics, on consequences for failure.
So, did you do the 50 push-ups today? Yes or no?
Exactly. It's boring. It's structured. It's about the numbers, not feelings. Validation, on the other hand, is a public performance. You're looking for praise, for opinions. You're trying to soothe your ego.
And the manual is trying to destroy that ego.
Precisely. The goal is to avoid inviting all that noise, all that opinion, into the very fragile early stages of a habit.
So the real transformation, it doesn't start with some big public announcement. It starts with a quiet, private decision.
Just a quiet conversation with yourself that says, I'm done playing small. I'm not going to delay anymore. I'm going to work.
Regardless of how I feel.
And regardless of who's watching. That decision, that quiet promise to yourself, that's where the real power is. It's non-negotiable, and it only depends on you.
You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need their approval or their applause. What you need is just radical focus.
Yeah.
And that's the real difference, isn't it? Are you chasing likes on a workout photo, or are you just waking up earlier? Are you asking people if your new diet is a good idea? Or are you just doing the internal work, fixing your habits when no one even knows you started?
And that quiet decision, it becomes a shield. It directly protects your energy and your momentum.
Enough out.
The sources are really clear that talking about it too early just invites distractions, opinions, judgment, and all of that can kill your momentum before a habit even has a chance to take root.
It's like your initial motivation is this tiny little flame.
Right. And every unsolicited opinion, every piece of advice, every bit of doubt from someone else is like a gust of wind trying to blow it out.
Which is where this idea of actionable silence comes in. It's not just about being secretive, it's strategic.
It's about conserving your mental resources. If you open yourself up to opinions, you now have to spend energy defending your choices, explaining your method, or, and this is the worst one,
What's that?
you water down your own ambition to match someone else's mediocre expectations.
So the manual demands silence in specific places.
Yes. Don't announce your plans. Don't broadcast your metrics. Don't wait around for feedback. Just self-correct and keep moving. That silence creates a high-security container for your most valuable asset, your focused time.
Every time you stop to reply to a comment or prove someone wrong online.
You're taking vital cognitive energy away from the actual hard, exhausting work. You are feeding your ego when you should be feeding the project.
And I think that's where so many people fail in the first month. They spend more time building the image of the person they want to become than actually becoming that person.
Yeah, they're building a life that makes sense to other people.
Instead of building the version of themselves they're supposed to be. A version that doesn't need attention. It needs execution.
And that leads right into the respect principle. The source is so blunt about this. If you want to be respected, you have to build something worthy of respect.
And that starts with respecting yourself first.
By taking yourself and your time so seriously that you don't feel the need to explain it to anyone.
You don't owe anyone an explanation for your goals. And most people, they won't get it. They won't understand your sudden silence or your new discipline. And that is perfectly fine.
The world doesn't need to hear your good intentions.
It needs to witness your transformation. And when that finally comes, it should be a complete, undeniable fact, not a half-finished promise you made on social media.
That kind of strength, the kind that grows when nobody is looking, is the only kind that really lasts. You learn to actually enjoy the quiet, the solitude of the grind.
You make peace with being misunderstood.
Knowing you're on your own clock, driven by your own internal standard. That silence. That's the fertile ground where real power is grown. So, rule number one, shut your mouth and get serious.
Okay, so we've established why silence is so crucial to protect the start of the journey. But now we have to talk about the long, hard middle part, right? Where the initial excitement is gone.
Yeah.
Once you've committed to silence, the next challenge, the harder one, is sustaining that effort for months, for years. And this manual spends a lot of time just killing what it calls the motivation myth.
This is maybe the single most important mindset shift in the entire thing. We have been so conditioned to believe that you have to feel good to act, that you need to feel motivated to start the hard work.
And the source just says, stop.
Stop waiting for motivation. Real progress starts when you show up with discipline. Not just once a week, not when it feels convenient, but every single day.
Let's get into the psychology of that because it's so important. Motivation is, what's an emotion? A hormonal rush.
It's a completely unreliable source of fuel.
But discipline, that's an action. It's a decision, a system.
Motivation fades. Discipline is what carries you through. The hard truth, and this is a big one, is that you are not supposed to feel amazing all the time.
That's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy sold by people who aren't actually doing the work. You're supposed to keep going anyway. Discipline is the bridge that gets you from feeling good to actually getting results.
It means showing up when you're tired, bored, stressed.
Especially when the work has lost its shine. And this connects directly to a core discipline hack from the source, which is managing decision fatigue.
Tell me more about that. If discipline is like a muscle that can get tired, how do we protect it for the important stuff?
You remove choice. You remove it from your most important high-leverage actions. Every single second you spend debating, should I go to the gym? Should I open that document? Should I eat the salad? You are draining your willpower.
So what's the hack?
Pre-commitment and environment design. You make the right choice the easiest choice. The path of least resistance.
So lay out your gym clothes the night before.
Block your calendar so your work hours are non-negotiable appointments with yourself. You're not deciding if you'll work. You're just deciding what you'll work on in that pre-committed block.
Which ties right into what the manual calls the boring work principle.
Mm-hmm.
Most people want the dramatic result, the big promotion, the book deal, the six-pack. But they avoid the mundane, predictable, consistent work that actually gets them there.
You want the highlight reel, not the training montages.
They want the climax without the chapters.
Right. They want to be seen working hard because that's dramatic and it feeds the ego, but they don't want to actually do the work when no one is watching because that requires just grinding monotony.
Building anything that matters takes time. A business, a skill, a strong body.
It takes time, it takes sacrifice, and it means thinking long term. And accepting that, a lot of the time it's going to be lonely and, yeah, pretty tedious.
The source argues that when you look for drama in the process, it's actually a subconscious way to avoid the work.
It is. If it's dramatic, it feels important, it feels exciting. That feeds the ego. If it's just boring, showing up to write 500 words day after day, it feels small.
But that's where the real building happens.
That's where it all happens.
Yeah.
And the key is to shift to what the manual calls identity-based habits. This is huge.
So it's not about, I'm trying to do a boring thing.
No, it's, I am a person who does this thing. You're not trying to write a book. You are a writer, and writers write every morning. You're not trying to save money. You are a financially disciplined person, so you follow a budget.
It anchors the boring work to your identity.
So not doing it feels like a violation of who you are, not just a missed goal.
That reframes everything. It's less about achievement and more about just aligning with who you say you are. Which brings us back to the power of those small, unseen steps. You have to internalize that your future depends completely on the choices you make when nobody is watching. Your mornings, your evenings, your lunch break.
That time is the consistency multiplier. Let's look at the math again, but let's add the quality piece. 1 hour of focused effort a day is over 350 hours a year. We know that.
Right.
But the manual says the value isn't just in the number of hours. It's in the compounding quality. Because you didn't skip a day, because you stayed disciplined, your skill deepens, it connects.
So the 350th hour is worth way more than the first hour.
Exponentially more because of all the foundational work that came before it. But that only happens if you don't skip days. It requires a consistency so brutal that it just becomes a non-negotiable habit.
So the real hack isn't some secret technique. It's just showing up when it's tedious and the reward is nowhere in sight.
That's it.
But how do we build the structure to make sure we don't skip those days? How do we build that routine fortress?
The fortress is built with systems that kill choice. You don't need a louder voice to convince yourself to act. You need a system that just carries you forward automatically. The manual suggests 3 main pillars for this.
Okay, what are they?
1, implementation intentions. So you define when and where you'll do something. When X happens, I will do Y.
Like when I finish my morning coffee, I will immediately open my work folder.
Exactly. 2 is habit stacking. You link the new habit you want to build to one you already have, so you're not relying on willpower.
And the third?
The environment overhaul. You structure your physical and digital space to support your goals. Delete the distracting apps. Put the book you need to read right where you'll see it. Make distraction require real effort.
When you build a system that's strong enough, discipline just starts to feel normal.
That's the ultimate shift.
You stop wasting energy trying to find motivation because you've automated the action. You've replaced emotion with consistency.
And you ensure those 350 hours a year are spent on high-quality, focused effort. The ultimate pride comes from knowing you were brutally consistent when no one was watching. That private effort builds real, unshakable confidence.
A confidence that's totally separate from the fragile kind you get from likes and praise.
You're building freedom and strength, one boring day at a time. So now we have to deal with the enemy that shows up once you actually start getting some small wins.
The ego.
The ego's urge to prove itself. Section 1 was about silence before you act. This is about silence during the long, hard middle. It's the anti-image manifesto.
And this section really breaks down the trap of caring more about being seen than actually becoming better.
Right.
When you start chasing recognition, trying to prove your worth to your peers or your critics, you slow down. You lose focus. You start trading progress for performance.
You're no longer evolving. You're just putting on a show.
And that's the core distinction, isn't it? Being effective versus being impressive.
The image game is a tax. A distraction tax. It forces you to spend your time, your energy, your money on crafting an outward appearance of success.
The perfect Instagram post, the right clothes, the aggressive self-promotion. Instead of investing in the actual mechanics of your own growth, The world is full of people who look the part, but their life never changes because they're addicted to looking like they're winning instead of doing the internal work that actually builds a win.
The real goal, according to this manual, is to evolve, to fix what's broken inside you, to ruthlessly face your own weaknesses, and to just raise your own internal standard.
And that process requires a level of honesty and action that is just. It's incompatible with maintaining a polished public image.
So it demands huge clarity and ruthless priorities.
Doing what really matters means you have to cut out comfort. You have to eliminate the unnecessary. You have to look at your daily habits, your friends, your commitments, and ask a really hard question.
Which is this activity right now helping me get where I want to go? And if the answer is no, you change it immediately. Not when it's convenient or socially acceptable, now.
And the sacrifice required for that is almost always unseen. The most important actions rarely look exciting.
They look like saying no to things that drain your focus. They look like early mornings spent studying. They look like sacrificing that immediate social fun now so you can live better later. The manual is clear. Define your priorities, then protect them like a fortress.
And the real freedom comes when you stop needing the world's permission to be great.
That's it. You stop waiting for applause and you start making decisions based purely on your own internal standard. You're building for you and for the future version of you, not for some, approval matrix of a passing digital audience.
That is the source of real strength. Being able to stand alone and push forward even when no one is clapping for you. But let's talk about a point of friction here, because this is a real-world thing.
Yeah.
Don't you need some performance for your career? You have to network, you have to interview, you have to show your work.
Right.
How does the manual advise balancing that genuine effectiveness with the visibility you need to get ahead?
It draws a very, very clear line. The line is between effective visibility and ego performance.
Okay, write that down.
Effective visibility is presenting undeniable finished results clearly and concisely to the people who can actually help you advance. Your boss, a client, an investor. It's transactional. It's professional.
And ego performance.
Ego performance is seeking applause from people who have no power to help you. It's trying to look busy instead of actually being busy.
So it all comes down to your intention.
Exactly.
If you're sharing results to unlock the next opportunity, that's strategy. If you're sharing them just to get a pat on the back, that's ego. And that's self-sabotage.
Precisely. And that discipline leads you straight to the freedom of being misunderstood. Growth means you are going to do things differently from everyone else.
And some people, maybe even close friends, they're not going to get it. They'll doubt you, think you've changed.
They won't understand your silence or your new boundaries. And the source says this isn't just inevitable, it's necessary.
Because they're right, you have changed. You're building something deeper than what they can see on the surface.
You're walking away from the habits and the energy drains that don't serve your purpose. You're focused on results, not reactions.
You owe it to yourself to take your life that seriously, even if it makes people who preferred the old, comfortable you a little uneasy.
And the ultimate proof of your seriousness is internal. It's proven by how you show up on a miserable Monday morning, how you handle a setback in private, how you keep your word to yourself.
Even when nobody else would ever know if you broke it.
That internal accountability, that's the only currency that matters. You just have to walk your path. You don't have to explain it.
So the path to mastery is never a straight line. There's always failure, there are setbacks, there are moments of just profound personal crisis. And this manual has an incredibly intense chapter on handling that struggle alone. And it's not about suffering in secret. It's about engaging with your difficulties strategically to build real, unshakable strength.
This is such a critical concept for real mental toughness. The lessons you truly need, the ones that teach you about your own limits and your own power, they don't come from a book. They don't come from advice.
They come from what you survive.
What you survive and overcome on your own terms. When things get hard, the easy route, the default route, is to look outward.
Blame someone, look for sympathy.
Wait for someone to rescue you.
Right.
But the manual insists that real strength is forged when you look inward, when you take control of the one thing you can control, even if it's just your attitude, or the very next step you take, or just 5 minutes of focus.
Relying on other people too much or too soon actually stops you from building that resilience you're going to need for the next bigger challenge.
Most of your real, lasting growth comes from those moments where you want to break down, but you choose to move forward anyway.
So this process, it requires what you're calling a shadow work inventory.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Those moments of struggle, they test you, they show you your weaknesses, the bad habits you fall back on, the weak thinking that trips you up, the emotional laziness that makes you seek comfort.
But they also give you the chance to see those weaknesses clearly and then strategically build something stronger to replace them.
Exactly.
I want to focus on this idea of choosing strength over sympathy.
Yeah.
Sounds harsh, but I think what the manual is getting at is that emotional laziness, that desire for comfort instead of confrontation.
It is absolutely about confrontation. Real growth requires you to sit with your discomfort. You can't just wait for the storm to pass. You get stronger by learning how to stand in the middle of it without getting swept away.
And the source says to use pain as fuel.
As precise, surgical fuel. Not a vague excuse to stop. It's about stop looking for someone else to rescue you and instead becoming the kind of person who can rescue yourself. That internal shift is where real resilience is born.
But let's clarify this because it's a demanding philosophy. What about genuine human connection? Is there a danger here of isolating yourself when you actually need professional help for trauma or something clinical?
That's a crucial clarification. The manual is not telling you to reject professional help for clinical issues or to reject human connection when you're grieving.
Okay.
It is demanding radical self-reliance in the face of the daily grind, the setbacks, the fear. It's about rejecting the entitlement that says someone else should fix your problems or soothe every minor disappointment.
It's the difference between needing a doctor for a broken leg and needing to motivate yourself to run a marathon.
Perfect analogy. This book is about the marathon. It's about becoming someone who is better because of the struggle, not in spite of it.
When you start blaming external things, the economy, your boss, your past, and you just look at what you can control right now.
You take your power back instantly. You stop wasting energy explaining yourself and you start using that energy to rebuild your mind, your schedule, your fortress.
And that internal struggle is the hardest battle. The noise of panic and doubt can be deafening.
But your discipline has to be louder. When everything is falling apart, you have to stop the downward spiral and ask yourself that one critical question. What would the stronger version of me do right now?
And you learn to encourage yourself, to hold yourself accountable, to push yourself forward when no one else is even there to see you trying.
That fierce independence becomes the foundation for everything else you build.
And that kind of mindset is so rare because it's earned. It's forged under immense internal pressure. You don't have to announce your struggle or prove you're tough.
You just keep showing up, quietly, consistently, maintaining that routine fortress even when the walls feel like they're shaking.
And the payoff for all of that is grit. Real foundational strength.
It can't be faked. It can't be bought. Every hard day you survive adds a permanent layer of resilience. And once you know, truly know, that you can survive the worst of your own internal chaos without losing your drive,
Then no external challenge can really scare you away from your goals.
this growth is earned, not given. And once it's part of you, it's there forever. Which brings us to the end goal, the final currency of this whole philosophy of silent mastery. Results.
Yeah.
And the manual is just, it's completely uncompromising on this. Results are monumentally louder than promises. People don't remember your intentions. They don't remember your great plans or your hopeful social media posts.
They remember what you finish, what you build, what you follow through on.
And when you operate from this place of silence and focused execution, the final outcome is just. It's so different. You're not trying to sound impressive anymore. You're focused entirely on becoming undeniably effective in your own life.
And the reward, when you finally win in silence, is internal first. And that's what makes it last.
You're working from a deep internal purpose. You're chasing a standard that you set for yourself, not for the approval of a crowd.
Which gives you huge internal stability.
Right. When your success is measured by your own metrics of just doing the work, then external criticism becomes irrelevant. And external praise, while it might be nice, it's never the goal.
And the most satisfying part of this whole thing is that moment of the reveal. When people finally see this success,
The stronger body, the stable finances, the finished project, the new skill.
they will almost always think it happened fast. They'll call it luck or overnight success.
But you, the person who actually followed this manual, you know the devastating truth. It did not happen overnight.
No.
It happened in the quiet decisions, in the daily sacrifice of comfort, in the relentless consistency, and the thousands of hours that nobody ever counted.
And when they finally ask you how you did it, the answer is so simple.
You shut your mouth and you got serious. You were just putting in the boring work every single day. when you were tired, when it was hard, when nobody was there to care or to validate you.
Winning big without ever announcing your move, that is the highest form of strategy. And more than that, it's radical maturity.
The source calls it a form of protection. Silence protects your future plans. It prevents interference from critics, from competitors. It keeps you grounded.
When people don't know what's coming, they can't speak doubt into your plan.
Or distract you with their opinions, or worse, their envy. Your sustained silence becomes your greatest shield.
And winning quietly, it also reinforces humility, which you need for long-term success.
For sure. You're not succeeding to show off or to prove someone wrong. You've matured past that. You know the real reward is the disciplined person you had to become.
The freedom you gained, the options you created for yourself, the confidence that's rooted in undeniable fact.
When you've earned something through private, grinding effort, you just don't feel that toxic need to flaunt it.
The ultimate result is the unshaken power of the person you become. Someone who moves through the world with this quiet, confident competence.
Because they earned it. Through private, sustained effort. They don't need to explain how long it took or what they gave up. That part just belongs to them.
Your growth becomes undeniable, not because you spent years talking about your journey, but because the world just sees the final magnificent structure that you built.
The goal isn't just the outcome, the product, the promotion, the money. It's the disciplined, focused, relentless person you were required to become to achieve it. Real success doesn't scream for attention.
It simply shows up. Strong, undeniable, and built to withstand any storm. So we've completed this intense deep dive into the manual for self-mastery, and the critical shift is clear. Radical focus on consistency, eliminating the craving for external approval, and just fiercely embracing the grind that happens when the lights are off. You have to understand this fundamental truth. Your best work, your most lasting work, will be the work that no one ever sees you do.
You've heard the analysis. You understand why quiet action is necessary, why internal commitment is imperative. You know motivation is a lie and discipline is the only path.
You know that every single time you talk instead of act, you are trading your long-term power for short-term comfort.
So now the choice is yours, and it is absolute. There is no middle ground anymore. There are no excuses left. You have a choice. You can keep talking about what you're going to do, or you can shut your mouth and do it. One path leads to the comfort of excuses and the certainty of staying right where you are.
The other leads to undeniable results and earned, lasting growth.
So we challenge you right now to identify the one single specific action, a habit, a structured hour of focused work, a profound choice to be silent that you will commit to immediately after this deep dive is over.
This action needs no applause. It needs no explanation. It needs no audience.
It needs only your silent, unwavering commitment. Shut your mouth and start your own silent transformation.